ஓடி விளையாடு பாப்பா, நீ ஓய்ந்திருக்கலாகாது பாப்பா. ஓடி விளையாடு பாப்பா, கூடி விளையாடு பாப்பா, ஒரு குழந்தையை வையாதே பாப்பா. ஓடி விளையாடு பாப்பா, காலை எழுந்தவுடன் படிப்பு, பின்பு தனிவு கொடுக்கும் நல்ல பாட்டு, மாலை முழுதும் விளையாட்டு என வழக்கப்படுத்திக் கொள்ள பாப்பா. ஓடி விளையாடு பாப்பா. With these verses from my favorite poet Subramania Bharatiyar, I offer my humble pranams to the distinguished academicians gathered here within the venue and the outstanding members who are yet to join us, and proceed to present my views on integrating arts in social science. I thank the organizers for giving me this unique opportunity, and let me start by quoting Bharati. Bharati says, he talks to the kids, காலை எழுந்தவுடன் படிப்பு, பின்பு கனிவு கொடுக்கும் நல்ல பாட்டு. Get up early in the morning. Okay, I'll stick to English. Children today, especially during holidays, think early morning is 8 o'clock. But Bharati's early morning is 4 a.m. So he says, get up in the morning, study, then sing. Sing every day. And if you finish your studies and you're singing in the morning, you have the whole evening to play. Following this, Rabindranath Tagore said, the highest education is that which doesn't merely give information, but brings our life in harmony with all of existence. He thought that the education system was weaning children away from nature. I have uneducated feet, he said in a very famous statement, and it was with the aim of imparting an art-integrated education that he started the Shantiniketan way back over 100 years ago. Bharatiya and Tagore were talking about the ancient traditions of this land, where art integration with education has been happening all along, and arts have been a part of the daily lives of the people. So here we are re-evaluating the same, and I am very happy that this celebration is taking place here in Madurai, which is the cultural capital of Tamil Nadu. Tamil is called Muttamil, meaning three Tamils. This adjective in front of any other language would sound absurd, but that is the unique speciality of Tamil, which is divided into Iyal Isai Nadam, where Iyal Tamil refers to literature as in prose and poetry. Isai Tamil is music, and when you think of music, you think of space, you think of design as in the notations, you think of frequency, that is movement. Paatile pol aachariyam paaringisai illayada, said Subramania Bharati. There is nothing in the world as wondrous as music. Then comes drama, Nadagam. If we look at it, drama came even before the 3 R's and music. When man expressed himself through body language and facial expression, when even before language came into being as a cognitive tool, even before he could talk, man expressed himself in the form of arts. Yes. Art revealed in cave paintings, seals, and pottery have helped us understand man's story of evolution. For example, the cave paintings of Altamira in Spain from 36,000 years before present showed his earliest occupation and way of life. He expressed his belief system and rituals through art. Now, this is a stone art from the Blombos caves in Africa, which are over 73,000 years old. Then again, We see our own dancing girl from Harappa. Maybe this was man passing time in a hobby. The relics of the same lost wax process being used till date in Tamil country in nearby Kumbakonam to make these beautiful idols. Here you see a figurine of a lion man from the Holzenstein Stadel cave in Germany, which is 41,000 years old. An example of zoomorphic art, this was made of mammoth ivory carved just using a flint knife. Now the question is, 41,000 years ago, was there language? Definitely not, say, linguists, but there was art. And what did this art convey? A man's body with a lion's head. Was there mythology even before language? When we look at it, we are reminded of our own mythology that talks of the avatars of Vishnu. Aren't we not reminded of Narasimha? So imagine mythology and rituals evolving even before the spoken word, in the form of art, which was silent storytelling. History should be one of the most interesting disciplines as it recreates stories from our past, basically stories about us. In Tamil, there is a very interesting word to describe history which is called Varalaru, Varal Kuttal Aru, where Aru means the path that we came by. Now coming to the topic of social science, we know that it is devoted to the study of societies and relationship amidst members living in a society. Today, social scientists are developing systematic knowledge-based and prescriptive practices that aim to develop harmony amidst societies. And the scope of social sciences has grown very wide to include various subjects like anthropology, archaeology, economics, geography, history, psychology, culturology, environmental and political science. So that being the case, even a census taking, which gives us an inward knowledge into demographics, now becomes part of social science. In the Social Science Encyclopedia, Cooper and Cooper show how the birth of social sciences as a separate discipline can be traced to the age of revolutions, such as the Industrial Revolution. We know that the 19th century saw the agricultural revolution that led to surplus food production, but did it do away with poverty is the question. Food available to those who can afford, in return ushering in lifestyle diseases. Then came the Industrial Revolution of the 20th century, flooding the market with goods, encouraging more consumption, fanning the greed for accumulating material wealth, and leaving individuals and nations in perpetual debt. Now we are in the 21st century, in the middle of a digital revolution, which is taking us towards digital dictatorship. However, what these revolutions did, what did they succeed in doing, was creating societal disharmony. So as much as social scientists would like to strive towards harmony, the way we have exploited nature, the way we have encouraged greed, and the way the society has seen social and economic inequalities is leading to a lot of disharmony. So moral philosophies were brought into play while metaphysical was avoided. Coming to digital revolution, we are in the midst of an information overload. Most school curriculums in India are still focusing on providing a lot of information to the students. Now, what is all this information cramming doing? With countless trivia bombarding them at the click of a button, it is very difficult for anyone to discern between what is important and what is not. The education system, instead of feeding students with more information, has to focus on imparting an entirely new set of skills them to make sense of available information. The ability to sieve through information and take out what is irrelevant or false, sort of like differentiating the chaff from the wheat. And here again, a rather disturbing scenario is emerging, and that is the role of this AI digital dictator. When I say AI as a dictator, let us not imagine something out of the movies like the Terminator, where we are looking at a robot running through the streets and shooting at people. Today, AI has discovered that you don't need a chip implant in the brain to control a human mind. You just need to influence what he sees and what he hears all the time. How many of you in this audience do not have WhatsApp on your phone? Nobody. Well, that means nobody is lucky enough. So what happens? Using algorithms, my AI-enabled smartphone curates the visual content I see by understanding what I like. It remembers where I shop, and so ads keep popping up every time I open the phone. It is indirectly controlling my time and choice already. On the one hand, students are using AI tools like ChatGPT to do their assignments, which makes the very purpose of giving an assignment meaningless. And on the other hand, what schools and colleges are teaching today may become redundant by the time these students enter the job market. For instance, as the self-taught AI improves its coding skills, students learning C++ or similar stuff may not have a job in the future in the IT industry, causing technological disruption in the job market. Now, this is only an example. Most parents view the school system as that, or as one that provides livelihood education. That can no longer hold good, as one cannot predict what the job market would look like in 2040. Now, the reason why I chose to stand there is because that is too much towards the corner, and I thought I'd be hidden by the podium. I just want to get a view of all of you. So please bear with me as I go through my sheets. So we are at a juncture where we have to redefine the purpose of learning. Should we be downplaying the teaching of technical skills and instead emphasize life skill teaching in schools? Should we be giving the students skills that would help them to deal with change, to preserve mental balance in unfamiliar and challenging situations, to relearn and reinvent oneself every few years? In February 2024, the Singapore Ministry of Education declared a government subsidy for all its teachers to take a break, a sabbatical from school or from college, and go back to schools to relearn and do new courses that would make them more capable of handling what this future technology has in store for us. And the Minister of Education declared that the teachers need not feel bad about being asked to go back to school, that the youngsters in colleges who would be studying with them would benefit from the experience that these teachers took to the classrooms, and in turn they could pick up a lot of new technology and vibrancy from the younger students in the class. Now, let's think about it for a minute. Singapore is a small nation, so it can afford to do that, but in a large country like India, it is next to impossible. And do we really want to go back and become a student if at all we are given an opportunity? So this is a question that we have to ask ourselves. The ability to maintain emotional stability. Now, all this points towards teaching abstract concepts that are more challenging than teaching technical skills. And here is where art can help in a very big way. 2 classes per week dedicated to art education is not going to cut it. The need for educating parents a kind of an awareness education on the purpose of art learning is a must, as they have to offer crucial complementary support outside the school environment. For instance, a parent needs to be made to understand how a child excelling in classical music training would definitely excel in mathematics, and that the child would be better equipped to deal with life situations. How is this possible? Just as the space between notes, the silence is what makes music beautiful, the silence observed amidst mental chatter is important for nurturing clarity of thought. Art provides the mind with a silent canvas. Our ancestors understood this and they devised ways of integrating this into our daily lives, starting with something as simple as the kolam, which you would find drawn in the houses in South India early in the mornings by the lady of the house. Simple pattern of geometric progression that requires your 100% focus, because you lose one dot, then everything goes haywire. So these are the kind of things that we should be looking at. Would staying connected to our roots help in imparting abstract knowledge? Every society has been influenced over time by a distinct set of values or moral philosophies given by our forefathers, what we call as tradition and culture. How do we ensure that the essence of this gets ingrained in our children? Today, globalization has paved the way for cross-cultural influences, some of which are good, but many of which are contradicting to our own native traditions. Let me give you one practical example. I have a 7-year-old grandson who has been learning Carnatic music for the past 1 year. And as you know, Vijay Dasami for us is a day on which we pay our obeisance to our gurus. So off he was at 8 o'clock in the morning with his mother, with a plate full of the betel leaves, the pakal, manjal, the dakshina and everything. And just as he was about to leave, I made a casual mention that he is to seek his guru's blessings by falling at her feet. And then the precautious little kid tells me, oh, indeed I will seek her blessings, but there's no way I'm touching her feet. Now we come from a very conventional family where the child is seeing his parents falling at our feet on every auspicious occasion. But he is studying in a very liberal school where the children are encouraged to call the teachers and the correspondent not as sir or madam, but as Mr. So-and-so. So here we see an example of an opinionated boy being confused by values taught or upheld outside the home environment. Now, in addressing art integration as a pedagogical tool in integrating social science, in teaching social science, the preservation of native tradition is to be kept in mind. The importance of arts in nurturing a holistic personality. Arts helps us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time, said Thomas Merton. In Indian tradition, art appeals to the divinity within. As a theologist, was Merton hinting at this? A trait that is unique to Indian art forms is that everything is seen as an offering, a Sodovacharam, to the divine. So intelligently conceived by our ancients. The Pan-India Navaratri festival that just concluded drives home this point. Saraswati, the goddess of learning, always associated with the color white to indicate purity and tranquility. In Tamil, she is known as Kalai Magar, where Kalai is arts, Magar is daughter. She is not only the daughter, but also the mother of all arts. The famed poet Kambar sings, ஆய கலைகள் 64 ஏய உணர்விக்கும் என்னம்மை. O mother, by your divine grace, let me learn all the 64 arts. The experiential learning document of CBSE on art integration refers to art as a means of cultural integration that will lead to national integration. How very true. During this Navaratri, we conducted a Garba night at Kadambavanam. Garba, of course, originated in Gujarat, and I had no idea except that it was some form of a ritual dance. And only while reading up, I understood that the very term comes from Garbha, the term in Sanskrit that means pregnancy, and it is dedicated as a way of worshipping Mother Goddess as a symbol of fertility. So this is how art influences can also help us understand other cultures. Now, I come from a family of teachers, My great-grandfather, Marimali Adigal, taught Tamil at Madras Christian College, Chennai. My grandfather taught Tamil at a corporation higher secondary high school in Chennai. And again, my mother was a Tamil teacher at Queen Mary's College, Chennai. Now, all of them were very good musicians. And my parents and my grandparents used to say of how Tamil Pandits were expected to sing and teach in class as a very methodology. This is something that has gone away now. And my grandmother, she was the headmistress of a government school again in Chennai, and she used to say how multiplications and fractions were taught through song. Of course, these were all Tamil medium schools. Vaipadu karka, Vaipadu used to be a saying, right? So this is how it was. Every art form is a form of meditation, be it painting, singing, or even dancing. Now, I am an accomplished Bharatanatyam dancer, and our teacher always used to say that Bharatanatyam is yoga in motion. It requires the complete focus of the five senses, and it brings focus and a sense of stillness within. Learning art does for mental fitness what sports does for physical fitness. Today, we see kids suffering from attention deficit syndrome, their energy is dissipated by mindless engagement in video games and watching TV, Instagram and Twitter, with zero learning and minimum brain engagement. Simply time pass. Parents need to wake up to the potential of art as a mental training tool, where the focus of the mind happens joyfully and playfully. In arts, there is freedom of expression that kindles the imagination, that in turn gives a sense of liberation. As Einstein famously said, logic will take you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. And this imagination is nurtured by arts. Art is more of a right brain task, right? Right brain thinkers are creative, intuitive, and free thinking. The left brain is the verbal and rational brain where technical abilities reside. Left brain thinkers are analytical, logical, and quantitative. Now, the best of art is created when these two hemispheres are integrated. Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is a world-renowned institution and global leader in experiential education. Two of its scientists, John Cunios and David Rosen, did a groundbreaking study using high-density electroencephalograms, that is EEGs, and the team recorded the electrical signals of the brain of 32 jazz players when they had moved on to the part of improvisation. In our language, we call it Kalpanashwaram, where in a concert, the musician just takes off and goes on in an arithmetic progression of Swara Prastya without any pre-planning. So they say that at that point, the integration happens, and the results they published drive home the need for art learning for every child to be a lifelong avocation. When a child starts learning an art, initially the right hemisphere understands it as something new and novel and acts up. But as the child's learning progresses, at some time the left hemisphere kicks in and takes over, and the creative juices started to flow. And at that point, inventions are made, not only a poem or a painting, but even a scientific invention. You end up having an A.R. Rahman. Not only do you have an A.R. Rahman, but you also end up having an Abdul Kalam. Our former president has always said that he enjoyed his Veena playing, and that helped him focus more on his rocket science. An early living testament to this was Leonardo da Vinci, who said, to develop a complete mind, study the science of art and study the art of science. Not only was he a great Renaissance painter, but an inventor of sorts. Now, learning anything new stimulates the brain. Last year, we all watched the movie Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer learned Sanskrit and was profoundly influenced by the Bhagavad Gita, and his biography talks about how his notions of karma, destiny, and earthly duty were shaped by the Gita. It also talks about how he enjoyed reading classical poetry in Sanskrit, and Kalidasa's Meghaduta was his favorite. Now, how many of our kids have the patience to sit and enjoy quality literature? Now, that takes more of engaging the brain. They would rather watch a TV serial. Take for example, Samuel Morse, who gave us the Morse code and telegraph. He was a painter, and that is his work displayed at the Louvre Gallery in Paris. There is a long list. The CBSE document on art integrated learning also says that learning is a precursor to art integration for obvious reasons. If you take the classical arts like Hindustani or Carnatic music that maintain symmetry and structure in the form of taram and surkattu with mathematical precision, it takes patience and time to master the art. So only then can it be integrated into the classroom as a teaching tool. But as Picasso famously said, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. So what brings out the artist in a child instantaneously? Again, luckily for us, our folk arts. Every region of India has a rich tapestry of native arts that pulsates with rhythm and is woven into our everyday life. Every child has an innate sense of music and rhythm, and the folk art tradition appeals to this. It is very easy to learn. And at Kadambavanam, this is Oyilatam, one of the folk dances of Tamil Nadu, we see how children pick up the steps instantaneously. And in our cultural center, we conduct what is known as value camps for school children, where without knowing, what we have been doing is bringing in art integration into teaching. For example, here is our Tirukural Ayya, who uses a basic Natupura method to teach Tirukural. Tirukural, as some of you may know, are these two-lined aphorisms of just 7 words that are pregnant with meaning. Now, if I may indulge you all for a minute, I would request you all to stand while I give you the basic method of a step that we're going to do now. Please stand. I can see that some of you are drifting off. Tane na tane tane na tane tane na tane tane na tane na tane tane na tane tane na tane tane na. This is a basic Oyilatam net that even a 5-year-old picks up instantly. Now comes the Tirukural. என் என்ப ஏனை எழுத்தென்ப இவ்விரண்டும் கணென்ப வாழும் உயிர்க்கு. So you don't understand the words. What it basically says is that Tiruvalluvar was extremely intelligent. In the single word yen, he covers all of science, and in எழுத்து, he covers all of literature. So he says science and literature are like our 2 eyes. So let's have a go at it. என் என்ப ஏனை எழுத்தென்ப இவ்விரண்டும் கணென்ப வாழும் உயிர்க்கு. Okay, very quiet and attentive. Thank you so much. Please sit down. So the CBSE note also gave something about showing movies. At our center, we give excerpts of movies like Kappalodiya Tamilan to children. We have the Thorpavai Kuttal, a leather puppetry. I'm sure every part of India has something similar to this. Traditionally, these were used to give stories from the Ramayana, but now we use them to teach the children contemporary themes like hygiene. Art integration definitely has to move out of the classroom, and what best way than to take the children to museums. Now when you travel abroad, you see that wherever we go during holidays, museums are crowded with parents and children. Unfortunately in India, parents never think of taking students to a museum. So a museum always gets associated with a school field trip, which is quite sad. And luckily for us, not only do we have museums, in India, all our temples are also living museums. They are full of history and art. We need to take our children to the temples, not just from an angle of spirituality, but to understand social sciences. You see everything integrated so beautifully. And on a personal note, I try to engage a guide wherever possible. A guide makes the experience even more enriching. And the temple, and we do a lot of small activities like giving them the history of our textiles, making them do block printing. In our camp, they did pot painting and learned to write their names with the Brahmi letter. Then we took these kids to the Kiradi Museum, which is just about half an hour from where we are sitting now. And these kids were able to relate to what they saw, especially the Brahmi letters, more because of the activity we had given beforehand. we take them to the Jain caves. Madurai has a very rich Jain history that many are not aware of. And so, with all this, in conclusion, even if not one field trip a month, as a parent, as a grandparent, it would be great if schools can keep taking the children out of the classroom environment as well, especially when we are talking about integrating arts with something like social sciences. And so today, in this fast-paced world, arts should help children to slow down, to focus, and learn to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. AI may create music, but only a human mind can appreciate and benefit out of this. So the whole aim here is where performances become informances and art becomes a part of every classroom. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.